I want to talk a little bit about one more paradox to sort of reinforce what we talked about with the twin paradox. Because here, it's all kind of artificial, complicated, maybe, and the point of confusion can get buried in all that. So I think this is really the simplest picture where I can highlight the paradox and the origin of the paradox again. So some textbooks, probably not ours, or Giancoli, would cover this as the time dilation paradox. And I want to be clear here, the paradox is not the time dilation effect. I think, from our experiment and our postulate of special relativity, we feel comfortable with the Lorentz transformation, and we feel comfortable with this as the effect of the Lorentz transformation. So this is not the paradox. So let me describe the paradox. Imagine you have two clocks that are identical, like this clock and let's say this clock. They are more or less identical. Right now, when they are in the same reference frame, they are ticking down the same amount of time. So imagine Alice and Bob. Let's say this time Alice is staying with the left frame clock, and Bob is taking this clock and zooming by. As Bob zooms by, Alice looks at Bob's clock, and in the time it takes, in the amount of time it takes for this clock to count down 1 second, does Alice's clock count more than 1 second or less than 1 second? So this clock, moving clock, takes 1 second of time to count down. What does Alice's clock measure? More than or less than a second? More than? More than a second, right? That's the time dilation. Moving clocks are slow, so in the time it takes for this to count down 1 second, that clock counts down more than a second. So so far so good. There's no paradox there. The paradox results in when you try to shift to your reference frame. When you imagine you are Bob, you are taking the clock, you are moving by. In the time this clock takes 1 second to count down, or in the time it takes this clock to count down 1 second, how many seconds have your clock counted down? More than a second or less than a second? A lot of people say less because you feel uncomfortable saying that, because you are implicitly answering this question, which of the two clocks are slower? And in the earlier description, we said that this clock is slower. So you want to stick with that. You want to say that as Bob is moving, in the time that this takes a second, in the amount of time it takes this to count down 1 second, you want to say this will count down less than a second so that this will keeping a slow clock. And I will tell you the correct answer is that from Bob's reference frame, that is the moving clock. So that moving clock is slower, not this stationary clock. So that's the paradox. Time dilation is symmetric. When you have two clocks that are moving relative to each other, whatever clock in its own reference frame will measure the other clock as being slower. It's quite paradoxical when you think about it, because it's like saying, A is less than, if I wrote down this, A is less than B and B is less than A, this would be logical contradiction. And that's what paradox is. What I will tell you is that this is still quote-unquote paradox, because this seeming contradiction, it's only a result of your flawed intuition. So let me show you better mathematically how this comparing of two clocks looks like. This is really difficult to explain in words. So this is where space-time diagram really helps. So let me do that. Let me draw the space-time diagram. So this is my lab frame. So this would be Alice's reference frame. And this time, I guess I need some kind of markers to indicate how much time is passing for Alice. So some 1, 2, 3 units, 1, 2, 3, 4 units. I'm just making some unit marker. And let me draw Bob's reference frame, which will be moving relative to this. So Bob is moving as some, let me just exaggerate this a little bit. So this is the word line for light moving at speed of light c. So Bob will be moving at something like this. So pretty fast, but not quite at the speed of light. So if this is t prime axis for Bob, that's how fast he's moving, then the x prime axis for Bob would look something like this. Close enough. Okay? And the spacing here will actually change. That's an effect of this gamma factor here. So spacing as drawn in this reference frame from the left frame, it'll look like it's getting longer. So let me draw that. I don't know if I can draw that well. I'm just going to draw something. If they are a little bit off, forgive me. So something like this. So it'll appear to be more widely spaced because of that gamma factor. Something like that. Okay? So let me describe the time interval that represents how long, amount of time it takes for a clock to count down 3 seconds. So from Alice's reference frame, so this would be the Alice's clock, starting here and ending here. So this is 3 seconds for Alice. Right? At the end of this 3 seconds, Alice looks over at Bob's clock. At the same time, Alice observes Bob's clock at the same time when her own clock says 3 seconds. So what that's represented by is here, this point here. Good? Now, remember the distinction about observing and seeing. It takes a little bit of time for Alice to actually see it. We are reconstructing it to see, at the moment when Alice's own clock reached the 3 seconds, what was Bob's clock doing right now at that time? So, well, it's 2 and not quite 3 seconds. So yes, Bob's clock is slower. Okay? Now, let me give you, so, all this is, and I think this is where a lot of your intuition is based on. That's why more than half of you said that as Bob is moving, that Bob still sees his own clock to be slower than that, because this is the picture you are trying to enforce. Let me draw the correct, relativistically correct picture. So this is the interval that represents 3 seconds for Bob's clock. So, starts at 0 here and reaches 3 seconds here. So that's 3 seconds for Bob. Now, what a lot of you are doing intuitively and incorrectly is you are looking at, 3 seconds. It's longer than 3 seconds for Alice. So, so you would say, so Bob's clock is slower, right? So that's the correct answer. And Bob would look at you like a crazy person, because to Bob, what it would look like, yeah, but you are comparing 3 seconds for my clock at a time that's significantly later for Alice, because these 2 points are not what counts for Bob as right now. These 2 points are not simultaneous. So you have to first draw the line of simultaneity for Bob. That's the line that's going to be parallel to this line. So let me draw that line, because you have to figure out what is simultaneous for Bob. This moment in time for Bob is simultaneous. I have to draw this correctly, parallelly. So that's the parallel direction. All right. So this is the line of simultaneity for Bob. This is the line of simultaneity, by which I mean these are the set of points where t prime is equal to 3 seconds. So for Bob, at the moment when his clock hit 3 seconds, this is where Alice's clock was, less than 3 seconds. So Bob says, Alice's clock is slower, which makes sense because that's the moving clock. So when Bob sees you comparing this space-time coordinate with this space-time coordinate, he's looking at you like a crazy person, because like, why are you comparing those 2 points that have no meaning to me? For Bob, the 2 special points that are simultaneous are this point with that point. Now, what this point represents is, this point represents when Alice would see Bob's clock strike when Alice would observe Bob's clock striking 3 seconds. That's what this point represents. But once again, that has no meaning for Bob, because these 2 are not simultaneous for Bob, only for Alice. Yeah. So there's many more special relativity paradoxes that your textbook would go through, and maybe I will write up a note. But that's, I think, all we have class time for. And I will just leave you with this. This space-time diagram is the best tool there is to explore any special relativity paradoxes, because there's a lot of implicit assumptions you make when you're trying to reason them out in words. Space-time diagram, kind of like when you draw a free body diagram in analyzing forces, it makes clear a lot of the assumptions you may be making. Like once you draw this, it's clear from Bob's reference frame that these 2 points are simultaneous and these 2 points are not. It's a lot clearer than it would be in English. So this is the best tool that's available to you. And most of the so-called paradoxes, it'll trace down to you are assuming some kind of absolute simultaneity that simply doesn't exist. That's the biggest intuitive thing that you have to get rid of in special relativity. That's hard for a lot of people. I mean, with enough practice you can do it, but it's hard for a lot of people to get rid of that sense of intuition, that simultaneity is relative.